morning, friends. For a person like me, who's 30 years in NBFC sector, it's great to be in Chennai, where I think Anand said that heart and soul of finance companies is here. And, it headquartered in Bombay, but whenever we come to Chennai, we hold our managing committees every quarter in different cities. But the maximum attendance since last 25 years has been in Chennai. And it's a wholehearted participation. They come in numbers. Even today morning when I came, there are 3 or 4 NBFCs meeting to discuss the problems, the issues, suggestions, and it's great. Thanks the organizers first, of course, B2B Infomedia, my friends Gautam, your Anupam, Ashish, Anand, and everybody, my colleague from Sadhan, and thanks Mr. Ramesh Nabad for very valuable inputs, and Tamal, of course, from the city, much in the news for wrong reasons from Calcutta. Thank you, sir. I hope things are now better. Friends, what I'll do is, talk of the NBFC sector, the problems, but more than the problems, I'll discuss the issues which you have been taking up in last 3 or 4 months after post-ILFS, like, in fact, at the NBFC sector, and in fact, last week in the news channel, one of the news channel also, they now divide, pre and post BC, like pre-ILFS and post-ILFS era, we can talk it. So I'll just run through for first 2-3 minutes about, what we have been doing and how the problem occurred, but that's not very important. The issues, suggestions, and the response from the authorities, which is very important, and what we are going to do in next 2 or 3 months for the sector, that will be the major core of the discussion, my presentation today. Friends, as you know, the NBFC sector has been in the financing sector since more than 7 decades, and Chennai has been the pioneer, and then it spread to other cities, countries, and all that. The growth story is very well known. We have been contributing, and our market share has been growing up. We are doing financial inclusion, which is, the buzzword today, but what we have been doing since 7 decades is exactly that. And we are much better in various fields. We have reached the places where the banks are not been able to reach because of the reliability, affordability, accessibility, and the flexibility at which these are all the issues which I'm not discussing because most of the people present here are from NBFCs and MFIs, so they know about it. We are much well-managed NPAs, 3 or 4 to 5% compared to double digit for the banks. In fact, last 5 years, if you see the India's growth story, it's led totally by NBFCs, where banks have not been active at all. And 20-30% growth, which NBFCs saw pre-ILFS, was contributing to the India's GDP and the financial sector growth also. In fact, since 1997 till ILFS happened, there was not a single default by NBFC sector. This is the only sector which has no company defaulted in the country. We have been contributing to the great growth of automobile sector, infrastructure, SME sector, traders, entrepreneurs, rural areas, and everywhere. And we are fully regulated. There is a perception that, we are not as regulated as banks. It's never so. In fact, last 2-3 examples of last 6 months or 1 year is that we are ahead of that. Like Indes would never perhaps come for the banks. It's already come for us. And we are not now contesting. We are providing as per Indes also. Anyway, let's not go into the history of NBFCs. What happened? Let's come to the post-ILFS period. What happened in ILFS? First of all, let's understand that NBFC is a general word. Any type of financing institution, if it's not a bank, it's an NBFC. So we had always told RBI since more than 20 years that NBFC should be, first of all, name should be changed, nothing to start with the negative nomenclature like NBFC. We are either asset or loan finance company, or we are into capital market, or we are into housing finance, or into infra. All these 4 are different animals, and the business model, the systems, the styles, the liabilities and assets, everything differ. For example, how can ILFS model be compared with, say, Bajaj Finance model or Sundaram Finance model? It's completely different. But what happens is the perception of the public and the media is such, NBFC is an NBFC. Any finance company defaulting, they will, club all the NBFCs, and everybody will suffer because of that wrong perception being carried out. We have asked RBI to categorize us separately, name it differently. Not happened so far. What happened after ILFS? It was never a NBFC. I will say it was a infra finance company into projects, investment, and it was a private sector company run in a public sector way. It was a completely deficient model, and every, lavish expenditure and systems and what they worked, they were made the investments which more than 80% of that proved to be defective. But a typical NBFC would never go for this 20, 30, 15, 20 years models. We will go for, as I said, between 3 and 5 years. But because of this wrong perception, the public media and the RBI's not giving right signals at the right time, liquidity became a problem for NBFC, interest rate became a problem for NBFCs, but some of the perceptions which they laid it earlier, like ALM mismatch, asset liability mismatch, was never there. In case of an NBFC of the type which we are talking, we borrow between 3 and 5 years, we lend also between 3 and 5 years. In fact, for gold loans or the personal loans or consumer loans, we lend for the shorter period. It's between 12 to 24 months. We had CPs, commercial papers, in these NBFCs also, but very immediately after ILFS, most of these bigger NBFCs with the foreign funding, we have brought down to less than 6%. And today, as of now, there's nothing, nobody has defaulted. The growth has been down, but the likelihood of the default is not going to be there. Perhaps in 1 or 2 NBFCs, which has happened, say, post ILFS, we saw in Reliance Commercial Finance or Reliance Housing Finance. Again, this is not an NBFC. This is problem persisting to the Anil Ambani group. We can't call it as an NBFC problem, or ILFS is again a different story. Or we may tomorrow find in some housing finance company, it's a different model. We are talking, sitting here, I'm talking of an NBFCs into asset and loan financing, which are doing well. The growth has been down. It can be, between 10 and 15% for this FY20, but that's fine. You can't have good times all the times. There's another perception that we are undercapitalized. No, when these problems happen, many people thought that our average CRAR is 21%, but the regulatory requirement is 15%. So we are very well capitalized. It's never a problem. And none of the companies below 18%, mind you. Anyway, what's now important is the third part of my discussion, which is what we have been at FIDC. As I said, it's the self-regulatory organization of all NBFCs into asset and loan financing. We have a Chennai chapter also is partnering with this FCA, Finance Companies Association. We have at Delhi and we have at Calcutta also, Hire Purchase and Lease Association, and regional chapters and association in more than 18 cities in the country. All NBFCs, as I said, big or small, are members here, and we had an existence since 15 years, and earlier name was Association of Leasing, so it's my 30th year as an NBFC custodian. What we did is immediately met RBI, but earlier governor somehow he did not budge in and could not give the right signal. Immediately as ILFS happened and the banks thought that it's, RBI perhaps is not giving good signals for the NBFC sector, they stopped lending, including public sector bank. SBI was the leader, and they stayed. Even the loans sanctioned were not being disbursed. They did only securitization pools. They will cherry pick up a portfolio, do the securitization deal, get the priority sector for that. So, in fact, maybe they took the opportunity and advantage of the situation, but that's fine. But that could have been only for the smaller, a shorter time, maybe 1 or 2 months. But ultimately, for the growth of NBFCs, we need the actual loan disbursements so that we can bring in the new assets. Interest rate hike was another problem that any big companies, including the people sitting here, between 100 and 200 basis points, the interest rate was hiked, which was not affordable at this time. Naturally, you can't pass on every percentage of hike to the consumers. But we are bearing with that, with the smaller profits will be there. We met Reserve Bank of India, as I said earlier, governor did not give, except then the new governor came, Shaktikant Das. We met twice immediately after his joining within less than 10 days. But in the meantime, we moved our angle to Ministry of Finance, Niti Aayog, Swadeshi Jagran Manch, Road Transport Ministry, MSME Ministry, Commerce Ministry. These are the ministries with support we sought, because they all will understand, Government of India, that NBFCs have to survive and grow and get the liquidity to be able to give it to the various sectors. They understood it. Some of the measures which the new governor brought in brought some desired effects. Liquidity was eased. But again, as in today, as I said, the interest rate remains the concern. We want more signals from RBI, giving indication. One of the suggestions is, for example, securitization guidelines. In 2012, somehow, the then deputy governor thought that the whole securitization is, banks are not doing anything. These officers at banks are just buying the portfolios from banks and selling it. So to be able to directly able to reach. He just brought a lot of many restrictions on securitization guidelines. Maybe that was true that time, but today in this liquidity crisis, there is a 6 months, if today the securitization has to be done, NBFC have to have a minimum holding period and minimum retention requirement is there. It's lost its place. 6 months is not necessary. Today, it can be, immediately done, because even if the banks come and do the securitization deal, they will do the detailed due diligence, they will cherry pick the best items, and then only it'll pick up. So that 6 months has lost its importance. As a liquidity crisis, they can remove this MHP and MRR. In fact, the governor in the last meeting has agreed to that, but we are meeting the next month, early next month, and trying to work out how it can be done again. We have been asking, for a separate refinance window. The whole thing has now shown that we are over-dependent on banks. Some of the banks, private banks' perception is good, but public sector banks' perception keeps on changing based on the climate. Is it good? All these years, RBI has been regulating asset side of the balance sheet of the NBFC. Liability was never done. Okay, so small NBFCs, big NBFCs, everybody depended a lot on banks. Is it desirable? Answer is no. We have to have a separate refinance window. There are institutions, NABARD is sitting here, SIDBI is there, Mudra is there, or CGTMSE guarantee schemes are there. We have to get the fundings from them to be able to continuously, pump ourselves. Today, 60–70% of our debt portfolio will be from the banks. Somehow this has not again met. I understand if a separate institution has to be set up, we need a parliamentary permission, but a separate refinance window within SIDBI or NABARD. NEB Samruddhi is one of the subsidiaries of NEB Kisan, and NEB Samruddhi has come in handy to us. In fact, in all my seminars, I compliment NEB Samruddhi. In the last 2 or 3 years, they have done to more than 50 NBFCs and MFIs. They've crossed, I think, more than 200 or 300 crores portfolio already, which is doing well. But we need much more, to be able to reach the targets of GDPs and all that. And separate refinance window by an institution on the objective guidelines, which will work. Mudra somehow has not done anything for NBFCs. They have done for banks, for MFIs. They have a tilt toward that sub 2 lakh limit and the bank's limit for the funding which an NBFC does on the vehicles or the MSME funding or the personal loans between 2 and 10 lakhs. Somehow Mudra has not been able to do for 3 reasons. Number one, there is a threshold of 15 crores, for any NBFC to be able to get the funding, and entry level itself is 15 crores. Whereas RBI prescribes 2 crores threshold, Mudra prescribes 15 crores. There is no reason, so these thousands of, we are talking of more than 9,000 NBFCs today. So about 5,000 NBFCs get out of this because of this. Companies between 2 and 15 crores never get it. Second thing is rating. Again, the rating models and are such in India that a small NBFC will never get a desirable rating. Investment rating is not possible because they have again the, tilt towards the bigger NBFCs, the size, the diversification, the professionalism, and there are hundreds of criteria which a small NBFC cannot afford. Maybe the whole model for a small NBFC is to be different. We are talking with the rating agencies. In fact, we are meeting all of them on day after tomorrow itself in Bombay. I'll try to work out. You have to have a different models for the companies between 2 and 100 crores. I'm saying that so that they can get a rating which is required by the regulators and the funders. And the third requirement of Mudra, why big NBFC is not been able to do it, is the interest rate cap. There is a cap of 6%. For the small loans, a 6% cap is still not desirable. We want minimum 8% or larger cap, or in fact competition will decide the cap. Today there is no interest rate cap on the lending generally by us. So why on a Mudra loan it has to be 6%? In fact, for banks it's 8%. So these are the 3 reasons. We have talked to all the people. They are working on it. In fact, the note from Niti Aayog is ready, and before they could prevail upon RBI, SIDBI, etc. SIDBI in fact is supporting in a big way. It's not been done. The elections came in, so maybe in the next 2 or 3 months, this is one of the target, like securitization. There's another 2-3 new points which I'll now talk of, which we had worked out in the last 15 days. Another is the NCD on TAP. As I said, the over-dependence from banks has to be reduced. One of the ways is NCDs. NCDs are there today, allowed, many companies are doing, but it's a huge rigmarole. We have suggested NCDs on TAP. We have written to SEBI, RBI, Ministry of Finance, and of course the Niti Aayog, that allow us to file a prospectus once in a year, and if follow all the procedures, allow us to do it as much. I mean, you can do it on a daily basis, and we have taken all the precautions. Sir, I'll send you a note. The size, the tenure, the requirement, everything, the due diligence, which is a workable model. And we have ourselves as an SRO seen that it's not misused by any of the NBFCs, like it was done earlier, maybe 15 years back or so. There's another way in which banks and NBFCs started working together is the co-origination model, which has been, now promulgated. In fact, I know half a dozen companies have already done it. State Bank of India, HDFC Bank, and Bank of Baroda, Andhra Bank, everybody has started working on co-origination model where we pay about 20% and the banks pay about 80%. We jointly lend to the borrower, and most of the time servicing, that is the recovery and the other things, is done by NBFC. It's a nice model working. It's just beginning, and if it can be further extended, perhaps this will go a long way where banks and NBFCs can work together. Another thing is that priority sector status. If today, what happened again in 2012, they withdrew that if a bank does to an asset, which is a priority sector for the banks, but if it's through an NBFC, priority sector status to a bank is not there. If a commercial vehicle or the agriculture equipment or any such asset is a priority sector, if a bank lends directly to the borrower, if it's through a bank, PSLU allow them so that I can, borrow more from banks and perhaps at the concessional rate of interest also, because naturally that will be passed on to the consumer. There's a guideline which came, it's some things come at the wrong time. You're working on a circular or some things for a long time. On 5th December, 2018, RBI came out with a guideline which is working capital guideline. It's applied to everybody, but it affects NBFCs also, which says that if out of the total, working capital can be only 40%, term loan has to be more, and then it's going to be 60% maybe 2 months down the line. Again, maybe good or bad, but this is the wrong time. Sometimes we have to see that the liquidity crunch is felt by everybody, and that's how we have asked RBI just say 1 week back only to postpone this by 1 year and see that at least NBFCs are spared from this, because we never know. I'll borrow when ultimate demand is there. If I get a term loan and if I have to borrow and keep it in my books, it's a tough call. There is an ECB guideline also, which is more or less, as I said, settled today. Many of the NBFCs have started borrowing from that. These are all the avenues which I'm talking, other than banks, so that liquidity crunch is not there. Many of the technology NBFCs like P2P NBFCs or the fintech companies or the NBFCs, all the way we're doing very good, in mobile banking or net banking and other things. Only after that Supreme Court judgment of Aadhaar, there was a huge confusion, and we are going slow on that. The ordinance which came talks of banks, it does not talk of NBFCs. We want the new government to take up a stand and see that Aadhaar on some offline basis is allowed. Today may be working on there are systems on which we're working, but they are not foolproof. Everybody is scared, but tomorrow what will happen, including RBI and Government of India, which when we talk to the people, they say just wait for some time. Maybe after a few months down the line, we will have a clarity on judgment, and we want it back again. There's another way which we wanted funding to be improved is the leasing. One of the biggest tool of funding in India is leasing, world over. In fact, India, it's not so. The gross domestic capital formation world over, when it's there, leasing contributes average 25%. In the US, it's 33%. In India, it's less than 3%. Why? It was popular in early 90s when the banks were doing leasing, but there was a misuse because of the lacuna in the Depreciation Act. And the whole perception of the income tax department is that leasing means tax manipulation, tax evasion, tax avoidance. It's not so. If you give a depreciation on a proportionate basis, that's on the time of holding, you don't do it on 31st March, and then your time of holding, there is no lacuna. There is a GST, double taxation also on leasing. I had to pay full GST based on the equipment, 18 or 28% on the purchase, and on the lease rentals which are received, which includes the return of capital, there's a full leasing, full GST. So there is a clear case of double taxation, and there's again a TDS. There's a section under which 2% TDS is to be cut on the full value of the lease rental, which again includes the principal amount. So there are three anomalies in leasing, and leasing can go a long way when the foreign companies FIs, etc. coming, they will prefer leasing compared to hire purchase or the loan transactions, because that's the right way of, using the asset rather than owning it. They come in India for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, they never know they may be permanent. So they will like to lease the equipment, assets, etc. and that works well. There is no clear-cut definition of finance lease and operating leasing by RBI. As I said, there's a problem with Income Tax Department, GST as well as TDS. If these anomalies are removed, it can work well. We have tied up with World Bank Group, and we are coming out in the next 2 months' time with the full-fledged paper on leasing, how it can be done. And in fact, Ministry of Finance has accepted that once this report is out, we'll see all the problems we'll discuss what leasing does, how it can contribute, and what are the problems and how it can be solved. And every suggestion which we'll give will be tax neutral. It will not be to the disadvantage of the revenue. We have made the paper is ready, draft is ready. We are waiting for the right time and it's wholly drafted by World Bank. We'll come out with that and we'll put it up. The 1 or 2 last problems which I said is the tax anomalies. We have a 43D where the tax these provisions are not allowed. We have TDS with the bets allowed to the banks on the interest, and 194A which is there. We need to look into that. We seek the support of all the institutions, and even in B2B, in CI, SHM, FICCI, IMC, etc. to put our views. In fact, last week we met SIAM, Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers, and we had a press release also of that, where the whole problem of the automobile sector, the downfall is because of the liquidity crunch. And now we are going to represent jointly to the government of India and the people, so that if NBFCs get the money, we will pass it on to automobile sector or the MSME sector or any other sector. So we need to work together with all these people. We had a problem of data which we have sorted out. I was talking to Sadhan also. We have now NBFCs giving the quarterly data, sir. You have been asking for it. I know this is one of the failures of earlier, but we have been able to sort out a bit of it. We will have the pre-budget memorandum which is being drafted, and we'll meet the people. As I said, in the coming time, we are meeting GST Council tomorrow. There is a GST on penal interest. This is a big anomaly. There was one tribunal judgment of Bajaj Finance which brought there is no GST on interest which we earn, but there is a penal interest by GSTA. We are meeting GST Council tomorrow morning at Delhi. We're trying to sort this out. We have a meeting, as I said, with RBI coming up immediately, with CGMs on the Friday. With the Finance Secretary on 24th May, we had, Revenue Secretary on 24th May, and we had a meeting with Finance Secretary just 2 days back. We are taking all these issues which we talked. We are quite hopeful. If this liquidity problem is not solved by whichever government comes, it will be a tough time for the sector, tough time for the economy, and tough time for the country. We can hold on this liquidity crunch for next 2 or 3 months, but can't hold it for 6 months or 9 months or 12 months. It will be a huge problem. We are quite hopeful that this will be the first priority of 100 days of any government which comes, and we will be able to solve it. None of the big NBFCs which are into loan asset finance companies of the type which in Chennai are going to default. Don't panic, nothing is wrong. Remember, tough times do not last. Tough people do, and that we are. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I request Mr. Gautam to please give a token of appreciation. I request Anand Sharma to please come forward and give the token of appreciation for Mr. Mahesh Thakur. Can we give a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, all of us together? Thank you once again, Mr. Mahesh Thakur, for joining with us.